Welcome to the World United. Welcome to the World United.
Ram Dada Sham Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram Dada Sham
Do I begin? Friends and fellow devotees of the Lord, namaskars to every one of you. Yesterday, I said to you that God is not from you afar. He is wherever you are. Closer is He to you than breathing, nearer than hands and feet. Within the heart of each one of us is a cave. Within this cave dwelleth God. Centuries ago, the great German mystic, the great German Brahmagyanin, you may not have heard, but whose name is familiar to all who have studied the mysticism of religion, Master Eckhart. Master Eckhart said, you need not seek God here nor there. He is no farther away than the door of your heart. There He stands and waits until He finds you ready to open and let Him in. God is the goal of life. God is to be realized, not merely intellectually understood or talked about. Long have we chanted hymns and recited from the scriptures, while our minds have strayed afar. Long have we kept God out of our lives. The time has come, let Him in. We must let Him in. To move Godward, we need to get up and open the door and let God in. This happens only when we realize the need for God. This need is to be felt in the heart within. Out of the very depths of a yearning heart cometh the cry, I have need of thee, O Lord. I cannot live away from thee, beloved. This is known as spiritual awakening. Something happens within you and your life becomes new. You realize that the life that you had lived until then was a life of creature, comforts, of passion, of pride, of pelf, of power. It was no life at all. You exclaim with Tolstoy, to know God is to live. Yesterday, to know God, you must love God. If you want to know God, you must love God. Gurudev Sadhu Vaswani, whose portrait is here in front of you, he was in London. This was in the year 1910. He walked on the roadside when suddenly it started to rain. He went and sought shelter underneath a tree. An Englishman was standing there already. He looked at Sadhu Vaswani and he said to him, it appears that you are from India. And India is considered to be the mother of religious consciousness. Can you tell me in 3 words what is the true spirit of religion? Sadhu Vaswani said, the first word is love. The second word is love. The third word is love. Yes, the true spirit of religion, the secret of spirituality is love. And what is love? What is love? This was the question that was asked of Mansur when he was about to climb the scaffold. And he answered, love is not love until it renounces the I, the ego. Remember those words of Mansur. Love is not love until it renounces the I, the ego. If the ego is there, there can be no true love. If the sense of I-ness is there, there can be no true love. Friends, love, true love, is to reckon oneself as nothing and the beloved as the all. The truly spiritual man knows that he is nothing. The Guru and God are everything. Earthly pilgrimage is over. When our earthly pilgrimage comes to a close, when the body drops down dead and we enter the great beyond, they will not ask us how much wealth we amassed. They will not ask us how many crores we collected, how many degrees of universities we acquired, how many lectures we gave or heard, how many books we wrote or read. But they will ask us if we have learned the word of letters 4, L-O-V-E. How much of love we had acquired and shared with those in need. Love and humility go together. They are but the 2 sides of the same coin. Where there is love, there is humility. The German scholar, Römer, some of you may have heard his name. Römer made a study of the saints. He said that there was a large variety of saints. Some of them were learned, some of them were illiterate, some of them were rich, some of them were poor, some of them could sing, some of them could not sing. Some of them were orators, some of them could not speak a few words, some of them could not give lectures. But they had, all of them, they had one thing in common. This one thing was common to all the saints he had studied. And what was that one thing which was in common? They all were men and women of utter humility. They all had this quality of humility. This is the distinguishing mark of a saint, a truly spiritual man. You may come across many who appear wise and learned. They may deliver inspiring discourses. They may give brilliant interpretations. But if they have not conquered their pride, if they have not annihilated their ego, they have not yet set foot on the path of spirituality. Humility is the one thing that is essential. You may have heard the name of the great saint, Saint Francis of Assisi. One day they asked him, they said to him, you are not learned, you are not wealthy, you are not handsome. Why is it then that the whole world is running after you? And Francis, he said in all humility, he said, there is nothing in me. It is all due to the grace of God. And they asked him, why is it that of all the people, God chose you on whom to pour His grace? And listen to the words of this true saint of God. He said, God set out in quest of the most wretched of men, most lowly of the lowly ones, so that he could demonstrate to the world what his grace could do. And he could not find in the whole world a man more wretched than I. This is the mark of every saint, every spiritual aspirant. If he sets foot on the path of spirituality, he becomes humble. Humility is the mark. I am often asked, people ask me, they say to me, what was the path which Gurudev Sadhu Vaswani asked you to take to draw closer to God? And my answer is, he taught us to walk the little way. He called it the Alpa Marga. In wonder they ask, what can that be? We have heard of so many margas. We have heard of Karma Marga, Bhakti Marga, Jnana Marga, Raja Yoga, Hatha Yoga. We have heard of so many margas. What is this new marga that you talk of? The little way, the Alpa Marga. Tell us something about it. The little way is the simple way. It is the humble way. It asks us to do little, simple tasks with love and devotion and offer them to the Lord. He who wishes to walk this way must learn to become humble. In utter surrender, he must say to the Lord, O Lord, I am nothing, Thou art all. I am nothing, Thou art all. Naham, Naham, Tu ho, Naham, I am not, Naham, Tu ho, Thou alone art. The pilgrim of the little way is not bothered about what other people think of him. He is not even hurt if someone humiliates him. He remains calm even when he is criticized. If we are criticized, we get angry. And our reaction is to hit back. When we get angry, we immediately give tit for tat. Our reaction is an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. The pilgrim of the little way believes in forgiving. He believes in forgetting. He knows that what feels hurt is the ego, and he is out to annihilate the ego. In his efforts to annihilate the ego, he finds that it is not possible for him to succeed. He finds it's not possible for him to achieve. He feels the need of a guru, a person who is egoless, who walks with God, who talks with God, who has his entire being in God. The pilgrim on the path feels that by himself he can do nothing. At every step, in every round of life, he needs the help of a self-realized, God-intoxicated person, whom, for want of a better word, we call the Guru. Spirituality is not taught. You cannot learn spirituality. Spirituality is not taught. It is caught. It is caught through contact, through fellowship with a true Guru. The vice chancellor of a university wanted to make a guru the head of the theological department of the university. He approached the chief disciple of a guru with this proposal. The disciple said, the master emphasizes being spiritual, not teaching spirituality. Spirituality can't be taught. You have to be spiritual. You come in contact with spiritual men and you catch spirituality out of their lives. Would that prevent him from being the head of the department of theology? Asked the vice chancellor. And the disciple answered, said, as much as it would prevent a horse from being the head of the department of zoology. Spirituality can't be taught. There is no course in spirituality. You have to move, live, do your daily work in association, in fellowship, in the company of spiritual men, and you catch spirituality. What is spirituality? What is spirituality? In simple words, it is knowledge of God. It is not an intellectual knowledge, but an illumined personal experience of the Supreme. Everyone knows that God exists. Even the devil will tell you that God exists. But that knowledge of the existence of God is book knowledge. It is indirect knowledge. It is theoretical and borrowed knowledge. Mahatma Gandhi said on one occasion, for the last years, I have been striving to see God face to face. It is this personal encounter with the divine that is needed. Sri Ramakrishna had it. And he could say to Swami Vivekananda, when Swami Vivekananda was a college student, he was known as Narendra Gupta. Narendra Gupta sets out in quest. He said, everybody is talking of God, but if there is God, somebody should have seen God, known God. So he went on putting this question to all the leaders of religion of that time. He put to them this one direct question. You talk of God, but have you seen God? Have you met God? Have you talked to God? He did not get a satisfactory answer until one of his uncles told him, you have met so many religious people, have you met Krishna, Paramahansa? Vivekananda said, Narendra Gupta said, I have not even heard of him. So he goes. In those days, Sri Ramakrishna worked as the priest in the temple which was built by Rani Rasmani, the temple of Kali, Kali, the Mother Divine. And Narendra put this direct question to Ramakrishna. Have you seen God? You talk of God, but have you seen God? And Ramakrishna said to him, I see Him more clearly and more intensely than I see you. Such spirituality will bind the nations and bring them together and their people and transform them into a world community. Such spirituality is needed. My friends, a sister came to me. Where is my watch? Can I see the time? I'm supposed to be here till 9:45. What is the time now?
9:23. दादा जो भले हलायो.
Huh?
भले हलायो.
Right. A sister came to me and she said to me, I am a beginner. Can you tell me what is the daily routine of a spiritual seeker? I said to her, you must take note of the following points. In fixing your daily routine, you must take note of these following points. Point number 1 is, you must rise early. You must rise early, if possible, in the period that they call Brahma Mahurata. The rishis call that period Brahma Mahurata. And the gurus, Guru Nanak and the other gurus, they call them Amrit Vela. It was believed that at that time whosoever was awake would get a share of Amrita, nectar. This we must not miss. Every day we get a chance to get up at that hour, early hour, when Amrita is distributed. We must take a share of Amrita. And the second point is that we must begin the day with silence, a silent prayer. I often refer to it as our daily appointment with God. We keep a number of appointments every day, but we miss out this most important of all appointments, our appointment with God. Preferably at the same time, preferably at the same place, let us go and sit in silence and do our spiritual thinking. We may repeat the name divine if you like. God is the nameless one, though the sages have called him by many names. We can pick up suits us. Any name that we can repeat with deep longing of the heart. It is this longing, it is this love that is needed as you move on the path of spirituality. What you need is this yearning, this longing. If you don't have it, you can ask for it. Every good thing comes as a gift from God. We ask for so many things from God. Have you ever asked Him to give us longing for Himself, yearning for Himself? We can repeat the name divine. We can pray. Prayer is not a complicated affair. Prayer is as much as being with a friend. A friend comes to you. It would be natural for you to discuss with him your programs, your achievements, your aspirations, and ask him to help you. Do likewise with God. Did I tell you that I went to an office? The managing director, the proprietor of the concern, I saw him sitting on a chair by a table, but in front of him was a bigger table and a bigger chair. And I asked him, for whom was it meant? And he said, it is meant for my senior partner. I was surprised. I told him, you are the proprietor and you are the managing director. Do you also have a senior partner? He said, yes, God is my senior partner. And whenever I have a problem which I cannot solve, whenever I find that I am in a difficult position, I simply pass on the file to that table and I get the answer at the proper time. These are the words of a down-to-earth businessman. And I asked him, how much profit do you share with the senior partner? And he said, my senior partner is happy with 10%. But that 10% is not to be used for personal purposes. It is not even to be plowed back into business. Used for good causes as the Lord directs. Therefore, wherever I go with folded hands, I entreat the people to have some personal relationship with God.
Actually start.
They have fixed the time from 3 to 6. 3 to 6 is the time of Brahma Muhurat or Amrit Vela. You may get up at o'clock, you may get up at 4, get up at 5, get up at 5:30, but not later than 6.
Is there a connection between spirituality and science? If yes, what is the connection?
Spirituality and science are coming closer together. So far, science was trying to study the atom. Now, science has taken a stride. It has gone further ahead. Now, the atom has begun to ask, who is this man who is trying to study me? And this is what is bringing science and spirituality closer together. Science is a study of the outer world. Spirituality is a study of the inner world. But the two are coming closer together.
If someone harms you or wrongs you repeatedly, how do you forgive such a person?
You will be able to forgive such a person if you try to understand the working of the Lord. This, whatever is happening to you today, is most probably the result of your own action coming back to you. You have done certain things in the past. You have forgotten about them. But what you have done in the past is coming back to you. You have troubled that person again and again, and now is the time when he is troubling you again and again. Your accounts are being settled.
Dada, you have a beautiful joy and a smile radiating from your face. What is the secret?
And the secret is a simple one. I think I am a child of the Mother Divine. I very often feel I'm sitting in the lap of my mother, and I have no worry, no anxiety, no fear. If there is a problem that comes to me, I cannot solve it. I simply go to my mother and tell him, Ma, here is a problem. You have to solve it, I can't do it. Each one of you can do that. Each one of you can do that. My earnest request to every one of you is to strike some relationship with God. I love to think of God as my mother, but you can think of God as your father, as your brother, as your friend, as your beloved, whatever you like, but strike a relationship with God.
What may we do that God loves us?
That
God loves us.
God loves you. If you go out and serve in a spirit of selflessness, wanting nothing back, not even a simple word of thanks. Rather, if you go and serve someone and that someone abuses you in return, insults you in return, and you are at peace, that is what appeals to God. He will love you.
How do I overcome the crisis that comes in my life again and again and at the same time?
I don't understand the question.
Crisis, her life is crisis, so how does she overcome it?
By going to God, it's as simple as that. The difficulty is that we feel that we are alone. The difficulty is that we feel we are abandoned. No, we are not abandoned. We are not alone. God is with us. God loves us. God cares for us. But we have not established that relationship with God. God has not become real to us. If only God were real to us, we would not have any difficulty at all. No crisis, no difficulty, no sickness, nothing.
How do we find a God-realized soul, or how do we find our Guru?
How do?
We find our Guru.
Aspire. Don't go out in search of a guru. You will be disillusioned. Because there are so many people today, they call themselves gurus, but they are not true gurus. Therefore aspire. Pray to God to put you in contact with a... The guru will come to you. He will come and you will get that feeling in the heart with him. He is the one. He is the one.
I like to sit in silence, but I keep postponing it. How do I start getting regular in my practice?
For that you need willpower. And willpower is a gift of God to man. You have to ask for it. You pray to God to give you willpower. Once you have willpower, you will easily be able to sit in silence. Yes.
Revered Dada, you are an embodiment of humility. How can we try to imbibe humility in our lives?
I am not an embodiment of humility, I am learning humility. I come to you to teach me humility. Yes. Humility is a quality that is necessary for every spiritual aspirant. That which is me and God is the ego, is the sense of pride. Once the ego goes, God grows. Yes. So with folded hands I will ask every one of you to so bless me that I may grow in the spirit of humility. That is all that I want.
Dada, can you please tell us who is God?
God defined is God denied. God is the limitless. If we try to define him in words, we are putting a limit on him. Therefore, God cannot be defined. You cannot express what God is. God is to be realized. And when you realize God, you get an experience which you cannot put in words. Because what you put in words is sort of limited, the unlimited, the limitless. You have to realize God.
Dear Dada, I don't feel like doing anything else than dwelling in the thoughts of God. Because of this, my family is dissatisfied with me. How do I handle this?
Let the family be dissatisfied. If you are on the path, you go ahead. Let the family, of course you must do your duties. You must do your duty by your family, but beyond that, don't waste your time. If you are on the path, go ahead. You have had many such families in the past, hundreds upon hundreds of families. You are worried about this one family. You go ahead.
Revered Dada, how do I move towards enlightenment?
I think the very first step is you must pray to the Lord to put you in touch with a guide. A better word we call Guru. A Guru is not a dictator. A Guru is a friend. A Guru is a brother. Once you come in contact, once you come in fellowship with the Guru, then the path becomes easy.
The world over, the word God-fearing is prevalent. Should we not change it to God-loving?
God-fearing is really God-loving. God-fearing is meant, by God-fearing is meant that we must be afraid of doing something which may displease our beloved God. We are not afraid of God physically, no. Physically there is no fear. There is only this one fear that I must not do anything which may displease my beloved. That is what is meant by God-fearing. Yeah.
I live in a competitive world. Every now and then I have goals to reach and targets to meet. I live a stress-free life.
Make God the goal of your life, and you will lead a stress-free life. It is because you have made the world the goal of your life. And wherever the world comes in, there is bound to be stress. Change the goal from the world to God, and you are at peace, you are at rest.
Can you please explain to us the theory of karma in a very simple way?
The theory of karma, very simply told, is that each one of us carries with himself a field of life. I may be the poorest of the poor, I may be the most wretched of all men, yet I carry with me a field of life. This I carry from birth to birth. Every word that I utter, every thought that I think, every action that I perform, every feeling, every emotion that wakes up within my heart is a seed. Now that seed falls in the field of my life. I may have done something in the dark of the night. Nobody has seen me. But it has been registered as a seed which has fallen in the field of my life. That seed may lie dormant for a long period, or it may immediately express itself in the form of a sapling. Out of that seed, the future may be remote or near. Out of that seed will come a sapling. The sapling will grow into a tree. The tree will yield fruit. The fruit may be sweet, sour, insipid, bitter, tasteless. It has to be eaten by me. This is the theory of karma. Whatever you sow, that you shall reap. So many things happen to me in this lifetime, And I begin to wonder, why have they happened to me? I do good to everybody. I am sweet with everybody. I try. Why is it that this thing has happened to me? Why? Because in the remote or near past, I have done something which has returned to me. That action has been done. Now that action must create a reaction, otherwise it will not be balanced. The law of karma is a universal law. It is a scientific law. The third law of Newton is action and reaction are equal and opposite. Action and reaction are equal and opposite. Now, I have done the action. Until I have the reaction, my action will not be balanced out. This is the law of karma. Therefore, you must be very careful. You must be aware all the time. Very careful. Every word that you speak, every thought that you think, every action that you perform, every feeling, every emotion that wakes up within your heart, you must be very careful. Very often we hate somebody. Somebody meets us, we speak goody words to him, but in the heart within we hate him. Now that hate takes the form of a seed and drops into the field of my life. And one day, out of that hate seed will grow a tree. And hate fruits will be produced. I will have to eat them. Therefore, give love to all. Somebody has not behaved properly towards you, leave it to the law of karma to take account. You must not have any ill feeling against them.
I'm sorry, we are told that the time is up, so this will be the last question. Dear Dada, the youths today are disillusioned. The youths, the young people of today are disillusioned. How do we bring them back?
It is because the young people do not have a direction. You must show them the direction. And the direction is shown not in words but in life. You must become role models for the young people. There was a little child, he came to me, he said to me, my father says I must speak the truth. I tried to speak the truth. But on last Sunday, a man came from the bank and wanted to meet my father. He asked me, go and see if your father is in. I want to meet him. I went to my father's bedroom and I told him that the man from the bank has come to meet you. And the father told me, go and tell him that he is not inside. Now I was in a difficult situation. On the one hand, I had to speak the truth. On the other hand, I had to tell him that my father is not in. He is not at home. So I went and told him that my father says I should tell you that he is not at home. This is the difficulty. This is the difficulty with our young people. They are models. Yes.
Thank you, friends. For the benefit of many people whose questions are not answered, we have opened a small bookshop inside.
A relationship of love and devotion. Make God real to yourself. God is only a word to most of us. We must make God real to ourselves. To make God real to ourselves, we must strike a relationship with Him. Tell God, you are my father, you are my mother, you are my brother, you are my friend, you are the beloved of my heart. Whatever relationship you want, but strike a relationship with God. This will help you. This is very, very necessary if you would wish to move on the path of spirituality. And point number 3 is, you must balance the life of meditation with the life of whatever be the duties that you have to perform. You don't have to neglect your duties to move on the spiritual path. No. You must work out a balance between the two. And point number 4 is, you must shampoo your mind at least once every day. That is, get down into the bottom of your consciousness and cleanse it of all those thoughts that keep you captive. My friends, what is spirituality? What is spirituality? It is something which if you think of, you don't have it. You lose it. It is something of which you are not aware. If you think you have it, you have lost it. Spirituality is an endless journey. If you think you have reached the end, in reality you have not even begun. We talk of spirituality as though we are experts on spirituality. As I said, spirituality is one of those realities that you have it so long as you are seeking it. As soon as you think you have it, as soon as you think you are a spiritual person, you have lost it. Spirituality is boundless, unable to be fenced in. We cannot capture it, it captures us. As much as we may try to hold it fast, it will always escape our grasp. We can only be pilgrims on the path. We can only be seekers. We can only be disciples. And every pilgrim on the path will find these practical suggestions helpful. Practical suggestion number 1 is the golden rule which states that you must do unto others as you would have others do unto you. You must not do unto others what you would not wish them to do unto you. You are true when you see yourself in others. Actually, what you call darshan, what you call true vision, it comes to you, you behold the light in the lotus of your heart. With closed eyes you behold this light. Then when you open your eyes, you find the light shining in all. The same light that you saw in the heart within, you see in all. There is no difference between you and the others. You must do unto others as you would wish others do unto you. This is practical suggestion number 1. And practical suggestion number 2 is take care of your thoughts. Very often we pay scant attention to our thoughts. We say, after all, it was only a thought, what does it matter? No, my friend, thoughts are things. Thoughts are forces. Thoughts are the building blocks of life. Thoughts are the blueprint with which you are building your own future. Therefore, take care of your thoughts. I could speak to you on this topic, but traveling fast, I must be quick. Practical suggestion number 3 is, do not be in a hurry to give a promise. But if you have given a promise, you must be in a hurry to fulfill it. Your life must bear witness to the ideal of truth. For truth is God. Truth is God. Satyat nasti paro dharma. There is no religion higher than truth. Every spiritual aspirant, every spiritual seeker walks on the 2 feet of truth and compassion. These are the 2 qualities that he must develop in his life. Truth and compassion. Truth is very necessary. Today truth is conspicuous by its absence. Today wherever you turn there is corruption. There comes a stage when we realize that we cannot serve two masters at the same time. A decision has to be taken. There must be no compromise. The seeker after God stands up for truth in thought, in speech, and in all his dealings with others. Truth, though she take me to the scaffold. Truth, though she lead me through the fire. These are the words of our master, Sadhu Vaswani. There was a lawyer, he came to a businessman and he said to him, this businessman had incurred debts amounting to 40 lakhs of rupees. He found that he could not pay the amount back. He was in a difficult strait. And the lawyer came to him and said to him, give me 50,000 rupees and I shall clear you of all your debts. And look at the answer of this man who had to pay 40 lakhs of rupees. He said, you insult me. I have incurred those debts and I must pay back every single rupee. He was a spiritual. Practical suggestion number 4. Let prayer become a habit with you. You must pray and continue to pray. So many of our prayers remain unanswered because we give up praying. We become impatient and lose faith. We feel that as God is not going to act for us, we must act for ourselves. We forget that God acts at the right time. If he has not yet acted, it only means that the right time is not yet. This applies not only to material requirements, but also to mental and spiritual needs. I want to be God, I want to be with God in prayer, said someone to the master. And the master answered, that cannot be. Why? Asked the disciple. And the master said, because wherever you are, God is not. Wherever you are not. So how could you be with God? This is true prayer. You forget yourself. Only God exists. Practical suggestion number 5. Accept whatever comes to you. Do not seek the pleasant, do not avoid, do not shun the unpleasant. Rejoice in everything that happens. All that is happening and is yet to happen, all is for the best. God is too loving to punish. He is too wise to make a mistake. Therefore, all that happens for the best. Meet every situation in life with the favorite prayer of that great saint, Saint Francis de Sales. He used to say, those words were on his lips all the time. Yes, Father, yes, and always yes. Whatever happened, calamities came to him, sickness came to him. He passed through periods of danger and difficulty, but the words were on his lips all the time. Yes, Father, yes, and always yes. There is the story of a man who kept his brand new bicycle near a marketplace and went about his work and went home. He had completely forgotten about his cycle. The next day dawned on him that he had left his bicycle the earlier day at the marketplace. He was sure it must have been taken away. Yet he went there to look. To his amazement, he found his bicycle exactly where he had left it. He happily unlocked the cycle and went to a temple to give thanks to God for the bicycle. He locked the cycle outside the temple and went inside to pray. When he returned, he found that the cycle was gone. He immediately ran inside again and folding his hands, he prayed to God. God, oh thank you, the cycle is gone, but I am grateful and happy I was not on the cycle. We should establish more and more points of contact with God. If you wish to grow in spirituality, if you wish to walk the way of spirituality, you must see that you have more and more points of contact with God. Turn to God again and again. As I said yesterday, we get up in the morning, we offer a few minutes of prayer and we think we have done our duty by God. No. We must establish more and more points of contact with God. This will give you soul rest. And out of you, the joy of God will flow out not only to you, but to many others. Be gentle with all who come to you. They have been sent by God to your door, not without a purpose. There was a time when if in the midst someone came and disturbed me, I felt upset. Now I try to accept every interruption as His appointment. And I know how light and happy feels the heart that rejoices in the will of God. Yes, Father, yes, and always yes. Let this be the mantra of your life. Practical suggestion, number 6, my time is almost up. Whatever you do, it may be a lowly act, such as sweeping a room, or a noble deed, such as saving a life. Do it wholly for the love of God. From now on, you must live only for the love of God. Whatever you eat, whatever you give in charity, whatever austerity you practice, whatever you do it as an offering unto me. Those are the words of the Lord in the Gita. Can there be a simpler way of communing with God than this, that we offer unto Him every little thing that we do, every thought we, every word we utter, every aspiration we breathe. This is the right way to practice the presence of God. And practical suggestion number 7. Practical suggestion number 7, remember death every day. Remember death every day. There is a group, they are known as Trappists. They have their monasteries. And on the walls of their monasteries, they have these words inscribed. Carpo mori. Carpo mori, the words are in Latin. Translated into English, they mean remember death. You must meditate on death every day. We live in a world of uncertainty. But of this one thing we are certain, that every passing day draws us closer to the day when, leaving everything we hold dear, leaving everything behind, our wealth, our friends, our family, our country, we have to enter into the great beyond. Gurudev Sadhu Vaswani said to us that we must not have any worry at all, except this one worry, that we have to set out on a long, endless journey but we have made no preparations for the journey. Each day we must make preparation for the long journey that awaits every one of us. Remembering death will also teach you that you are not the body. The body is only a cage. It will drop down. The bird will fly away. Practical suggestion number 8. If you have wronged a person, do not waste time in making amends. Have you hurt someone? Have you cheated him? Have you spread scandals against him? Have you exploited him for selfish purposes? Then waste no time in setting right what has gone wrong. On the other hand, has someone wronged you? Forgive him even before forgiveness is asked, and your mind will be at peace. The world around you will smile. Practical suggestion number 9, you must practice silence every day, preferably at the same time, at the same place, but I have referred to this already in my talk. I will not repeat. But every day you must have this appointment with God. Practical suggestion number 10, the last practical suggestion. Help as many as you can to lift the load on the rough road of life. Gurudev Sadhu Vaswani said to us, did you meet him on the road? Did you leave him with the load? On the road of life are many who go about carrying heavy loads. Those loads are not merely physical. There are many who carry on their hearts the load of worry, anxiety, fear. Go and lighten their loads. Be a burden bearer. The day on which we have not helped a brother here, a sister there, a bird here, an animal there, for birds and animals too belong to the one family of creation. They are brothers and sisters. The day on which we have not helped someone in need is a lost day indeed. Life fulfills itself in service. There is no joy greater than the joy of those who spend themselves in serving those in suffering and pain. William Gladstone, you have heard his name. He was at one time the Premier of Great Britain. He was one day preparing a speech to be delivered in Parliament the next day. In the midst of his work, he was disturbed by an urgent call from the parents of a dying boy who wanted to see the British Premier. When he returned to the writing of his speech, Gladstone said, that speech may fail or not, the empire may fall or not, but in helping that boy, I have tasted exquisite joy. The religion of man is the religion of service. So let us do as much good as we can, to as many as we can, on as many occasions as we can, in as many ways as we can, and as long as we can. There could be many more practical suggestions, but the watch tells me that my time is over and I must bring my talk to a close. Spirituality, remember, is a gift of God. It cannot be earned, it cannot be acquired or possessed, for it is a reality which is given freely and spontaneously. All we can do is to keep the doors of our heart open and entreat God to enter therein. When wilt thou enter the home of my heart? Should be our constant prayer. Where is the dwelling of God? Asked the Rabbi of Kotsk of a number of learned men who visited him. They laughed at him. They said, what are you asking? God is omnipresent. He is everywhere. Then the Rabbi gave them his answer and said, God dwells wherever man lets him in. God, wherever man lets him in. May I with folded hands ask every one of you whose great good fortune it is to be present at this first World Parliament of Spirituality, let him in, let him in, let him in. Oh, Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Good morning, friends.